Welcome, everybody, to Football Discussion Daily. My name is Joe, and I'm here with my co host,
EGO.
CGO, or George. Today is the 24th of January, 2026, and today we will be discussing the Liverpool versus Bournemouth match, where Bournemouth scored a last minute winner to beat Liverpool at home 3-2. Bournemouth went up early, two goals. Liverpool came back and equalized it. Their second goal was a fantastic free kick from Dominic Szoboszlai. Later in the match, uh, Bournemouth won with the last kick of the match. Liverpool felt, at least in the immediate aftermath of that there was a foul and complained to the referee at the moment and after the match. Um, and But there also the second goal that Bournemouth conceded, or that Liverpool conceded, was as a result. Liverpool was playing with 10 men, and they did not pass the ball off the pitch for a solid 5 minutes. They played with 10 men, and Bournemouth was able to take advantage and score to make that 2-0, but due to an injury to Joe Gomez. Liverpool disappointed. They're trying to qualify for Champions League. Bournemouth, um, you know, this is a desperate 3 points. They hadn't won any games in quite a while. I think they had won one game since October. George, what are your thoughts on the match? Did you notice anything?
Honestly, I wasn't too surprised with the outcome of the game because Liverpool have been struggling in the Premier League. I think they haven't won any game this year. I remember the first game this year was against Leeds United. That was January the 1st at Anfield, which ended goalless. They played against Fulham in their next game at the Craven Cottage, and the game ended 2-2. There was something dramatic that happened on that day. Cody Gakpo scored a goal in the 94th minute where he thought Liverpool has already won the game. And unfortunately for them, um, Harrison Reed came, who was a substitute in that game, scored in the 97th minute and the game ended 2-2. And then after that, they played against Arsenal at Anfield. It ended goalless. And then their next game against Burnley, which was a relegation bound team where everyone thought they would get a win. They played a 1-1 draw. And now they've played their fifth game this year in the Premier League, and it ended on a very sad note. This is not the first time Liverpool has lost a game in the dying minute of the game. I remember this was the same way they lost to Chelsea. It was in the dying minute, and then I remember the game they played against Crystal Palace. They lost at the dying minute of the game. So it's something that they have been very guilty of. So it's unfortunate that Liverpool is going this way, and with the way they are going, they might miss the Champions League if they don't sit up.
Yeah. I do think that race for Champions League will be significantly lower than maybe last year for fifth point place in terms of fifth, just because of the strength of the overall league in general. And I think Liverpool, as bad as they've been, they're still above United and Chelsea, at least until they play. And so, one thing you had mentioned, George, all those teams you mentioned outside of Arsenal, like those are teams that Liverpool should expect to beat. I think that in February they play City and Newcastle. Their schedule gets, at least on paper, harder. I know it's the Premier League and no games are easy, but those are four games that Liverpool, you know, you should expect them to get more than 4 points in 5 games from that fixture list you just mentioned, even in this season where they aren't as good as normal. What do you think is the single biggest reason for Liverpool's struggles this season, George?
Well, I think one of their biggest challenge is the fact that they don't have wingers like Luis Diaz, who comes back to help the defense. Because if you look at the way Luis Diaz plays, the way Nunes plays as a center forward, you see that most times they always fall back to come and help the team. Because Mohamed Salah, age is not on his side. He doesn't have that strength to be falling back to help the defense. So they had players who were front men who normally comes back to help the defense. Now, the quality of players Liverpool has now, they are not doing that. A player like Florian Wirtz, you don't see him tracking back like you see with players like Luis Diaz. So that aspect is really affecting the game, it's affecting the team. And one other problem they have is they don't have a very solid holding midfield, a defensive midfielder that can really help with the help them out when it comes to helping the defense, and also helping the attack. So that is really affecting the team. So they need to really do something about it. If not, they might struggle till the end of the season.
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, I don't think that in a vacuum Gakpo is a bad player, but they really lost pace up front that they haven't replaced. Ekitike is the only speedster on their front line right now. He did not start the game today. But Diaz and Nunez is not a great player, but he's a fast player, and he forces the defense to change up their structure, their play. And you see teams now not respecting the pace of this Liverpool front line. In Klopp's first season, he had a technical but not like fast front line, and he's like, I need to sign Sadio Mane, who at the time was not seen as a super technical, polished player, because I want pace to just have that danger going forward, so that we can at least have that option in a nuclear option of passing it down the field. Liverpool don't really have that player. Cody Gakpo, before anybody's like Cody Gakpo's fast, he is, but he doesn't threaten. He's not threateningly fast. He doesn't beat a guy with just pace. He is a technical, crafty player, and that'll translate well to old age. Mo Salah, last year, I don't feel like he was a complete player. And if you're scoring goals, you don't have to be a complete player. But if your stick is I score goals, so therefore I really don't need to do that much, when you stop scoring goals, you stop being an effective player. Like Erling Haaland doesn't do that much on the field, but he scores a lot of goals, so nobody cares. Um, and Salah has those goals have dried up due to a lot of reasons. I do feel like they could come back. His finishing is still there, and I don't feel like the team is really helping him out a lot right now. But just a couple things. Another thing is they really. I think if they had signed Gahey this season, would have gone a lot better.
Yes,
Gomez is great once a month, and injured three out of 4 weeks. Konate has had a really poor season. McAllister has too, but they've been able to mask that with some other performances in midfield because they have cover. But they really don't have cover for that Konate Gomez position that they're really banking on Gahey for, and that has really they have had to transform their entire defense around that. And also Frimpong and Bradley have both been injured, which hasn't helped their entire right side of the
exactly.
line. So I think
Yeah.
that's the biggest driver among many, is that right center back position and the lack of speed on offense.
Do you think they will consider getting a center back this January transfer, because it's really something of serious concern the way they are going, because Gomez is out now and Ibrahim Kanote has gone for to stay with his family because he's lost his dad. So I don't know if it's something you think they will have to do for the end
I
of the transfer window.
I don't think they'll do it in January, at least not just to not to cover injuries. Liverpool in the past have been very reluctant to spend money on to cover injuries for like a 6 month. They'd rather lose out in Champions League than sign a player they deem as wrong. And I think Liverpool they've that's led to a lot of financial stability and a lot of great long term signings. It often leads to some short term frustration from fans, but they've proven successful time and time again. They definitely have proven that they will spend the money if they view the right market opportunity is available. And I do feel like Liverpool. I don't think the Gomez injury today changes anything. I feel like they're always looking for what they view as the right player for 5+ years, and they would probably wait till the summer because they probably still are very optimistic about Champions League qualifications. What do you think? Do you have any names in mind of right center backs that they could sign?
Well, we have a guy called Bastoni, who is doing very well at Inter Milan. That is somebody they should consider. Who I believe if a Bastoni comes to Liverpool, I think he will do very well. So that kind of a player is a player Liverpool should consider, because I'm still shocked that they didn't go for McGee for this January transfer after they lost after they couldn't get him in the summer transfer window last year. So I don't know what they are doing, because if you look at the price, even McGee was signed to Manchester City. It wasn't a lot. So
The
I was,
wages he had signed on at Manchester City are much higher than he was going to get at Liverpool. And Mark Gahey is a very good player. He is
yeah,
not 26-year-old Virgil van Dijk. He is not the best center back in the Premier League, which is the wages they signed him on for a 6-year guaranteed deal. Liverpool Liverpool have also been very much more wage conscious than they are transfer fee conscious in the past. They're much more likely to pay a high transfer fee on like a Dominic Szoboszlai for 80 million if his wages are reasonable. And City has been more lower transfer fees, higher wages. Possibly, I think the 115 cases thing is accusing them of hiding some of those wages under the books as well. But traditionally, Liverpool have been much more wage conscious, which I think is why they probably avoided that Gahey deal. Not because he's not a quality player, because he is.
Well, but they remember the deal almost went through last summer. So didn't they consider the wages before they were planning to sign him last season? Not
But
until Crystal Palace pulled out.
the wages, my understanding of the wages they had agreed to with Mark Gahey in August was significantly lower than what Mark Gahey just got from Manchester City. Liverpool also have a very heavy incentive for their wages. So if a player wins a Premier League and Champions League, it would probably be close to 300K for Gahey. But, he's at Manchester City, the deal he signed was 300K a week, period. He could get injured tomorrow and never play for City the next 5.5 years due to injury and still get 300K a week. And he was not going to get that deal at Liverpool. And I do feel like if you're running a club with money in mind, that's a very risky deal for a Mark Gahey level player who's, again, in my opinion, very good, not great.
I agree with you. I guess that's why Chelsea didn't go for him because I knew there were speculations that Chelsea could get McGill, but Chelsea is so conscious about players' wages, the new board. So I guess that made them not to go for him.
He's also probably a little older than what Chelsea targets. Like, what is Mark Gahey, 27,
Yeah,
26?
I
Um,
think it's within that range.
I think that Manchester City, or I think that Chelsea, I think they should be going after players in that range. I think it's one of the flaws in their plan, but I think that they have a strong uh, uh, boundary about not going after players in that price range, because they feel like they can develop players better than they can identify players. Um, but there's a lot of reasons for that. George, do you think that Arne Slot makes it to the end of the season, and do you think that Liverpool end up in that fifth spot that will likely be Champions League given English results?
Well, with the way they are going, it might be very difficult because if you look at it, there are so many teams that are not far from them. Chelsea, Manchester United, the likes of Brentford, the points gap are not a lot. So uh, this time is not a time to lose games. It's not a time to drop points. When you drop points, you get yourself into more difficult position. So the way it's going is going to be very, very tough. So they have to improve as quick as possible. If not, Liverpool might miss out in next year's Champions League. That's the reality before us.
Yeah, I mean, I think they will. I think they will end up qualifying. I do think they'll end up getting that fourth or fifth spot. One thing though I'll say is like I think the biggest problem was the squad construction more than I feel like Slot could be doing better, of course, but the squad construction, I think they signed a lot of players without any plan this past summer, and one of their biggest gaps at the third center back, they didn't sign, and I don't feel like replacing Slot is going to fix that fundamental issue with the squad, um, at least the next 4 months. And I do feel like I think they'll end up with Champions League. I think there's too much talent and quality, and I do feel like Slot there is a quality manager. I think that they'll. I'm very curious as to this summer if they'll pursue Xabi Alonso, even if Slot cleans up his act. But that's something we'll see. All right, let me close out with our discussion questions. I have 3 questions for today. We'd love to know your thoughts. Number one, do you think Arne Slot is going to be at Liverpool by the end of the season? Um, do you think that or after the season, do you think he'd leave this summer? Do you think that Liverpool will qualify for the Champions League? And what do you think the biggest reason for Liverpool's struggles are? Let us know. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you tomorrow.